Hello and welcome to module number 5 of this advanced Excel training, where I'm going to be talking about string functions. So this information I put here, I was just using this as my chalkboard for my notes. Otherwise we don't need this in our spreadsheet. So what we want now is to combine this column, title, first name and last name, and we make it into a full name. So when we are combining strings together, right, I'm calling this strings. A string is a data type, right? So a string is a data type, just like a date, like currency. So the other time I typed in a number here and it was converted to a date because this column has been formatted as a date. If it is formatted as money, you can only type in money and it shows you a $sign. But a string is a combination of any characters. It doesn't have to be limited to numbers or to letters only. That is where if you use your apostrophe, you can combine anything, including symbols. So a string is a combination of any symbol that you can type on your keyboard. So this function that combines here, we say we are concatenating. So in English, when you say you concatenate, to concatenate is to simply link, right? You are linking, say, in a series, right? Yeah. So you are linking things in a series. So if you want to link Mr. to Tendayi to Ngwerume, it's going to form one combination that says Mr. Tendayi Ngwerume. So what I've done is I've concatenated, I've linked these three in a series. So there are a lot of functions that you can use this concatenate so that you can come up with even sentences, even letters. That is how, for example, you can create standard letters that now say, "Dear Mr. Ngwerume, your loan of so much has been approved." You are simply concatenating or combining strings in a series. So we are going to be taking this step by step from the simplest form until I show you some more complicated forms of this concatenate. So the symbol that we use for concatenating is called the ampersand. So the ampersand is that sign on the keyboard which is on top of the 7. Sometimes people, because of not knowing or not wanting to pronounce ampersand, they will call that the end sign, right? So it's not called an end sign, it's called an ampersand sign. So when we are concatenating, we use ampersand as the link, right? We use ampersand as the link. So in other words, if I want to link two things, say A and B, what I'll do is I'll take A, because I'm putting it below there, it's assuming I want to type ampersand again. So I take A and then ampersand and B. So that is how you link two things. You put the first one, then you put the ampersand, then you put the B. But because I simply typed it as it is, it will simply take it as a string on its own. So if you want to concatenate, you put it like it was a formula. So you know that a formula always starts with an equal sign. So if you put equal to, right? So I put A ampersand B, right? We are going to have to fix this until we get it right. I just want to start with a format that people normally use. They make a mistake and then they discover there's a problem with the formula. A ampersand B, like that. You can see that now it gives me an error with this hash and name. This means there is a problem there. So what is the problem? The problem is that when you simply type A and B, you are assuming that the computer knows what A is and what B is. But A is just a string and B is a string. So if you want the computer to know it is a string, you must put it in quotation marks. So that is why at the beginning I told you that it is there's a problem in that formula. So we need to say equal to, then you put quotation mark A, you close that A with the quotation mark, then you say and, then you put another quotation mark and B and quotation mark. So now the computer will know this is a string, right? It's not a number, it's not currency, it's not date. The computer is not confused. It knows exactly it is a string. So when I do this, it now gives me A, B. So I have concatenated A to B, A ampersand B. So now because our title, first name and last name are in separate columns, we need to concatenate these columns. So what we do is we come to the cell for the full name, we start the formula with equal to, but this time we are not going to type the string Mr. We are going to concatenate the cells. So when you're concatenating a cell, you put the address for the cell. So the address for the cell cannot be put in quotation marks, because if you put the address for the cell in quotation marks, it will simply take it as a string, say A2, and it will not even recognize what is in this cell A2. So you can either type in the cell as it is, A2 equal to A2, and then you put ampersand, shift and 7, then you type B2, this one, B2, and then you put ampersand, then you type C2. Right. So this is the simplest form, which has got a slight problem, but we ignore that for now and we simply press enter. So you can see now that it gives me Mr. Tendayi Ngwerume, but as one continuous word, right? It gives it as one continuous word. So what is the problem? The problem is that there are no spaces in between. So we need to create the spaces ourselves. So the space must now go in as a separate string. So instead of simply saying equal to A2 ampersand B2, what we do is equal to A2, then we put the ampersand. What comes next now is a space, and because the space is a string, we close it in quotation marks. So you put a quotation mark, then a space, another quotation mark. Then we need another ampersand to now join the space to the next item. So there has to be an ampersand to join the link. Remember, we said we are creating a link. We are linking in a series. So after the first space, this one, we now need the first name. So instead of me typing B2, I can simply click on B2 here, and then I put ampersand. So now I want to join the first name to the next space, which is between the first name and the surname. So I put another space inside quotation marks, then another ampersand to now join that space to the surname. So I could type C2, or I can just click here. So after the last name, we don't need a space. So that is now the end of the concatenation. So it's equal to A2 ampersand, then our space, ampersand, B2 ampersand, then our space, and then ampersand. So you can see why people prefer to call this one AND, because it's easier to say A2 and a space, and B2 and a space, and C2. So when I press enter, you can see now that my full name is having the spaces there, right? So let me stretch my column so that it can fit the full name. So once I have the formula in the first one, I don't have to retype going down. All I do is simply come here to copy and drag down to the rest of the fields, and it copies the formula to each of the fields. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for now for the sake of the length of this video, and then I'm going to continue in the next video.